Jesus Christ. Friday. We get over 3,000, but you got to keep that emergency funding.
We do have quite a lot of influence, I think. Maybe in sort of second order areas, but we look particularly at government processes. Most think tanks in the London.
Okay, we have that. Happy Easter, RRT08. Happy Easter, my friend. All right, let me put this over here. This other phone, put it over here. Yeah, I'm just gonna tune a little bit. I'm actually gonna put on the Lionel show at 2 a.m. for about an hour or so. So I'm gonna put that on. Not gonna be tuning much.
Went through with the loss of so many of the band members on that fateful date of October the 20th, 1977, when their aircraft seemingly ran out of gas.
Oh, cool. You got your DX286. Nice. Yeah, it is a great radio. Let me put on BBC World Service and just let it play. I'm going to wait till about 2 a.m. and let Lionel show play.
The Colombian government's delegation as well. How does that all fit together? What was the path to all of that?
Well, thanks so much. Well, I was born in Colombia, and I came to the UK to study a master's, and then I did my PhD at the University of Sussex. And ever since, I sort of started my work in academia. I've been in different universities in the UK, Oxford, Bristol, Winchester, and I was mainly doing research on conflict and peace building. And but at the same time, in 2013, I set up a peace building organization from the side of civil society called Rodemos el Diálogo, or Embrace Dialogue. I set it up here in London, but because the peace process was taking place in Colombia between the government of Juan Manuel Santos and the FARC, I decided to jump on a plane and go back to Colombia. And I spent 4 years of my life there working in peace building as a civilian. And then last year, the Colombian government called me and asked me to join one of the negotiation teams with one of the splintering groups of the National Liberation Army in Colombia, one of the oldest insurgencies in the continent called. And then I spent my time between Edinburgh and a city in southern Colombia called Pasto. And what I tried to do is to use a bit of what I was teaching and now in the practitioner world.
Yeah, and I know you'll take us to your particular part of Colombia a little bit later on in the program. And the appeal of being London-based for you, is that very much a sort of your home city as you see it now?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I live between London and Edinburgh because a year ago my wife got a job at the University of Edinburgh, so I affiliated at SOAS, but I live in Edinburgh and I have to go to Colombia every few weeks. I live in between.
A complicated life, lots of aeroplanes and lots of airports. More to come from both Andre and Jill throughout the programme. Now, on Tuesday, the UK government hosted a conference in London, attended by 20 countries, to mark the second anniversary of the start of the conflict in Sudan. The British Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, opened the meeting with these words.
Many have given up on Sudan. That is wrong. It's morally wrong when we see so many civilians beheaded, infants as young as 1 subjected to sexual violence, more people facing famine than anywhere else in the world. We simply cannot look away.
Well, the conference ended with a call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Sudan, but significantly, Arab countries like Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, supporting the rival sides in the civil war, refused to sign a joint communique on the conflict. And to mark the fading prospects for peace, the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, declared a rival government to the country's armed forces. Ravina Shamdasani, spokesperson of the UN Human Rights Office, said it had heard harrowing testimonies from victims of the war.
There's a brazenness that characterizes these acts. We've heard accounts of men walking in and raping the women and saying to them, "We are your men now." We have accounts of RSF militants who've killed young men and then gone to the mothers of those young men and said, "We will protect you now." Can you imagine the fear? Can you imagine the panic and the anxiety that now you're in the hands of these people? And there is a brazenness that is fueled by impunity. And this is why when we talk about solutions, when we talk about how to bring this conflict to an end, one of the key things is pushing for accountability.
Well, Claire Sanfilippo is an emergency coordinator for Médecins Sans Frontières, the MSF medical charity. She spoke to me from Brussels and outlined first the current humanitarian situation in Sudan.
Sudan faces one of the worst humanitarian crises in decades, and really, wherever you look in the country, you will find staggering humanitarian needs that are unmet. Countless civilians have been killed and maimed. The UN considers that today over 60% of the country's 50 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance, and nearly 13 million people have been displaced by the conflict, many multiple times, and they live in overcrowded camps or makeshift shelters without access to food, water, or healthcare.
I was struck by you saying wherever you look. So there's nowhere in this country that hasn't been touched by this, and often dramatically so.
The health system has basically collapsed. According to the World Health Organization, 70 to 80% of the country's health facilities are not operating at full capacity. As a result, patients often present late to the hospitals, putting their health and life at risk. And what we're seeing is really multiple overlapping health emergencies. We have now treated dozens of thousands of patients for trauma injuries. We're also seeing survivors of sexual violence, particularly women and girls. Sudan is experiencing one of the worst maternal and health child crises that we are seeing anywhere in the world. The malnutrition rates are absolutely through the roof, and also there are multiple outbreaks, measles, cholera, diphtheria, that are spreading because of the poor living conditions as well as disrupted vaccination campaigns.
And that applies, does it, to these temporary camps as well, where people might arrive thinking that the conditions might be slightly better?
Tanzan camp hosted until a few years ago 500,000 people. There was a large-scale offensive that started on April 11th on the camp by the Rapid Support Forces, and hundreds of thousands of people have fled either to El Fasher, which is a city that's been under siege since May last year, and 25,000 people reached...
I got about 20 minutes before the top of the hour, so... let me see. Let me check again. Actually, I got about 18 minutes. So you know what? I'm gonna scan the shortwave band in the meanwhile. Let's scan the shortwave band. While we wait for the top of the hour and on the medium wave band, and then we'll do Lionel show. So let's see what it can pick up in the meanwhile. The 4 kilohertz bandwidth. See if and of course I'm using the MLA30 with the copper tube element, copper tubing on the MLA30 with the BNC. And hello, Davy Henry. Happy Easter, my friend. And I saw another message there. I'm sorry that the live chat kind of disappears. I was getting BBC on 94.10. Okay. Well, let's see if it picks it up. It's gonna scan down. Let's see if I can pick it up. RRT 08. Where's the rate? Excuse me. And thank you for watching.
Time 5 hours 45 minutes. Coordinated Universal Time.
At the tone, 5 hours 45 minutes. Coordinated Universal Time.
Please note you are in the superimposing song. 7 plus 156 The estimated planetary phase index is 0000 UTC on 8092.2467. Space weather for the past 34 hours has been moderate. Blackout features an partial level of Earth. No spacecraft storms are predicted for the next 24 hours.
At the tone, 5 hours 46 minutes. Coordinated Universal Time.
Happy Easter, Matthew. God bless you. Thank you for watching.
Because their hearts are far from God. Huh? They're not looking for it. It don't fit into their doctrine.
Oh, nice. You already got the HDR 16. Very nice. That's a great radio.
It's not because
Yeah.
our IQ is higher or we're more special.
I'm looking to get that one
Because
someday.
God has chosen us. And that means He loves us. And we
Great
love
St.
Him.
Jean radio.
And He shows us things. And it may be simple to us but the only reason it's simple because God has shown it to us. And anybody
The only thing I wish it had is some bandwidth filters.
those that love their doctrine,
I mean, it's a great radio. I just wish they could have put
will not receive it.
a few more options on
Good
it.
Friday is something that man come up with.
And maybe an external antenna input.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if it has that. I don't believe it has
Praise
that.
the Lord.
External antenna
Jesus
input.
wasn't crucified on Easter or Good Friday.
Yeah, that would be nice, you know.
He gave it up on Passover.
Outdoor antenna.
They don't even regard Passover.
Then I'll hook it up.
Absolutely
It
not.
would be nice.
If we're going to talk about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, then we have to think of Passover. Not Good Friday. Am I preaching it right? Hallelujah.
Yeah, Boston stations. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Boston stations. On FM? Or are you talking about AM? On AM, of course. But FM, it would be nice.
I hope you all ignore him. He's just an ignorant and very faithful slave of the negative power of the Maya, of the king of illusion.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's nice.
To be blamed for the conflict.
Yeah, I would like to get one here.
So So now
Never
he
caught a
says
Boston
that
FM station
God doesn't
here.
exist.
Not here in
And that
Yonkers.
caused a lot of anger
Pretty
among
cool.
you. And he likes that, the attention. He likes to draw attention to himself. So he just says anything.
Oh, you're in Rhode Island. Okay, yeah. No, that's pretty good still. That's good. That's good. That's still pretty good.
Thưa bạn nói rất rõ Thượng Đế chưa được có thật.
RTO, I hope this music comes out with more radios. Yeah, they will.
Quan trọng nhất ở trong quả địa cầu này.
RRT08, they did contact me months ago when I made all my videos on the Qdosin, and they say, when we come out with a new one, we're going to send you the next one. That's what they wrote to me. So they are planning to make another one someday. You know how those E-skip stations from, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, Matthew. Oh, yeah, so they are coming out with another Qdosin in the future. They really liked the videos that I posted. And they said, we got you on the list for the next one. So whenever that one comes out, hopefully they'll send me the next one.
Some wrote on the internet to protest. I agree
Yeah.
with all of you. And I
do.
with the writers of the protest. But please forget him.
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to go down. No, I want to go down. I'm scanning up and I'm supposed to scan down. What the hell? Okay, here we go. We're scanning down. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. No, if you're in Rhode Island, they're more probably tropo. Because if you're in Rhode Island, you're very close to Boston. So that's probably more tropo. That's not going to be E-skip. E-skip is something very far. You know, tropo is like, I don't want to let it go. Tropo is something like under 200 miles. Yeah. Tropo is going to be something like about.
As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall.
Let me lower the volume. Yeah. Ohio to Florida, that's going to be. Yeah. Ohio to Florida, that's definitely going to be E-skip. That's Florida. Basically, tropo is anything about 200 miles or below. Like 100 miles, 200 miles. Basically, because 75 miles is the curvature of the earth, right? You know, you put your TV antenna, your FM antenna. There's a range, line of sight, right? Line of sight that can go up to about 75 miles. And then you got the curvature of the earth. Okay? So 75 miles is like the limit to line of sight. Line of sight. Okay? And then that's going to be tropo. Yeah, that's going to be tropo. And that can go up to 200 miles. Tropo. Tropospheric ducting, whatever. But it can be more than that. So that's the rule for that. Anything like really out there, like 1,000 miles, that's all sporadic E. Sporadic E. 500 miles, sporadic E. Okay? So, so keep that in mind. For example, like over here, if I get a station from Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia, that's almost tropo. Yeah, Florida. Yeah, that's E-skip. If you get Florida and FM, that's E-skip. That's considered E-skip. So basically, anything a little above the curvature of the Earth, like another 75 miles is line of sight. So 100 miles, that's tropo. 100 miles is tropo. 200 miles, that could be tropo too. But after that, so you're in Rhode Island and you get Boston, that's just you got good signal. Like I get Philly over here sometimes. That's not tropo. That's just I get a really good signal. I got a really good antenna. For me, tropo is like if I get, Western Pennsylvania, or Maryland. Because I get Connecticut. That's not tropo. If I get Massachusetts from here, that's kind of tropo. That's tropo right there. Because we're talking about over 100 miles now. Anything over 75 miles is tropo. Excuse me. Yeah. So anything about 75 miles over, now you're getting into tropo. Tropo. Because now you're not line of sight. Line of sight. After line of sight, now you got to compensate for the curvature of the Earth. So now you're not, now it's below the horizon. So, okay. And the same thing goes with TV signals. So like 50 miles is just line of sight. I get a lot of 50-mile stations. But that's all LOS, line of sight. LOS. That's what we call LOS. Tropo is going to be something like 100 miles or 75 miles or more. Then you're dealing with tropo. Okay? Or sporadic E. All right? Let me check on my time. Yeah, I'm going to go to the AM band because I want to hear a couple of stations. So let me go to the...
Juan Gabriel.
Lake James.
Let me go down to...
He's happy.
Hold on. Sorry, let me put it on.
Of In Touch Ministries, Atlanta, Georgia, and remains on this station through the grace of God and your faithful prayers.
At the Windbridge.
All right. Not much there. Let me go back down to let me go here and see if I can hear something. This is Emily 30. Emily 30 with a copper element. Maybe a good station here. Let me see. Oh, hello, Bob Cantor. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I just. Oh, I thought it was an R. Sorry about that. Hello, Bob Cantor. Welcome to the live stream, my friend. Oh, yeah, this is the Emily 30 with a copper element. BNC modded. BNC modded. Yeah. Welcome, my friend, Bob Cantor. Thank you for being here. Let me try 1040. Yes, I'm a vampire. Okay, 1040 is not gonna happen because I got too much noise. Okay, let me try 1020. Okay, I'm trying to find a DX right here. Oh, there you go. Nightbot. Thank you, Nightbot. I love you, Nightbot. Thank you. I got Nightbot going on. Let me try 740.
Millions of dollars.
Still too early. Okay, I'm gonna try one more station. All right, PTX. There you go. Oh, it's still noisy. Too early for that. Just let me check the time right here. 2:01. Okay.
We're forced to lay off radio.org. Thank you.
For some reason, one of the two parties makes it very difficult.
Trying to find a station where I could really say it's DX.
Invites high school juniors, seniors, and recent graduates to join UD for Arate, an introduction to the...
Call on TNT. Miami will play in Cleveland Sunday night in the opening of the first round of Eastern Conference playoffs. Runners from around the world are arriving for Monday's Boston Marathon.
Running for Basketball Foundation. Running for the West End House at the Boys and Girls Club in Boston. Boston, happy birthday!
Is CBS News. A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was a constant riddle. Learn more at progressive.com. You live on it. You go to your game and help you recover the weekend as a weekend down on the street. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and a free Odyssey app. Talk Radio 1210 invites you to join Bestwork Industries for the Blind for Dining in the Dark.
There you go, WPHC, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm located in Yonkers, New York. Long Island, okay. There you go, Strong Island, baby. Nassau, Suffolk County. Where you at exactly in Long Island? WWVA, Suffolk, okay, cool. Yeah, my brother, my sister-in-law lives there. Oh, you're Bayshore, okay. My sister-in-law lives in Deer Park. Yeah, Deer Park. Yeah, exactly. Not too far. Yeah, Deer Park. Of course, I dated somebody from Ronkonkoma. You know, yeah. I know the area well.
Potential customers, everybody is saying from News Radio 1170 WWVA. Let's partner up to
WWVA to West Virginia.
Voice on News Radio 1170 WWVA. I can help tell your story and drive results. Together, we can create a personalized endorsement to turn my listeners into your customers.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put on 770 for the Lionel show for a little bit. Because I know James Farley might be on, and I want to
apply by phone, in person, or online. I'm Liz Radabali for 77
WABC.
And the Big Apple is being ranked as the second most.
So the Lionel show is from 2 to 5 a.m. here on WABC.
And New York was cited for
on weekends.
Feel like scenes from a romantic comedy, like the ice skating and twinkling lights at Rockefeller Center, Central Park's rowboats, and iconic skyline views from the top of the Empire State Building. London came in as the most romantic because of London Bridge, and Miami, Toronto, and Rome round out the top 5. In sports, it's playoff time this weekend. Saturday, the Knicks play the Detroit Pistons in the NBA playoffs. On Sunday, the Devils take on the North Carolina Hurricanes in the first round of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. The NASCAR Cup Series is off for Easter weekend. Your forecast overnight, increasing cloudiness but mild temperatures, a low of 56 degrees. Later on today, cloudy skies, it'll be breezy, could see a stray shower, and warm with a high around 80 degrees. The outlook for Sunday, mostly cloudy skies and a high of 68.
I'm out there in my yard today, doing some yard work.
Outside of our Midtown studios
plant
right
some
now,
cucumbers
some
and
cloudy skies. I'm Lisa Ritchie. Remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
I'm going to be out there today.
77 ABC. Now. Lionel is on your radio.
Yeah, I've been doing it for the last few weeks, but tomorrow I gotta finalize it. Why for breaking my balls?
Here we are until 6 a.m. today and tomorrow. Make a note of this. Can't say this
Why
enough.
he's breaking my
Make
balls?
note of this. Wake everyone
He's
up.
breaking my balls!
Late or early, depending upon where it is. Today, I want you to make a note of this.
Breaking my balls!
You have never thought about.
Oh my God! You have no idea.
Do not miss an hour. Do not miss a second of this.
It's a ball breaker.
Now, anytime I can make you.
All right, let me shut up for a few
Anytime I can make
minutes.
you sound smart, or smarter, I should say, I will do this. And one of my favorite things to do is to always bring up something, and this was just in the news by the Federal Reserve. And I think it was Dennis Kucinich, maybe, I don't know who said it, but he said that the Federal Reserve is as federal as Federal Express. Now, here's a question for you. Whenever you're out somewhere and you got a real pain-in-the-ass friend or somebody who's a know-it-all, some ultra-crepidarian, some big shot who knows everything, well, I'm a news junkie, you set them up like this. You sit around and you say, you know, Dave, I got to ask you a question. Because if anybody would know it, you would know it. Because you're a sharp guy. You're sharp. And I know you're a news junkie and you read newspapers and if anybody would know this, you would. And you build them up. And they start to puff up. You know, they start to get like, okay. Well, here's a question I have. And again, if anybody would know it, you would. What exactly is the Federal Reserve? And just wait. Don't answer it. Just wait. Watch his eyes flutter. Well, nobody knows this. Now, when I say nobody knows this. It's one of those things you say, you know, that's it. I never cared about it, but I don't know what it is.
I take care of Contour, and you know, have a great weekend. Happy Easter, my friend.
I don't know.
You know, happy Passover, and God bless you, my friend.
Not sure how this even works. Not at all. Not sure. Anyway. And one of the things here is a better question.
Thank you for
Who
watching.
can fire? Now, I didn't anticipate this, but I just heard this, and I want to bring this to your attention. Here's a better one. Who can fire the chairman? Who can fire Powell? And when you ask people, remember, people will never look up the answer. They just start answering it, almost reflexively. Like in this patellar reflex. They just try to say, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, the president. Are you making this up? Yes, I am. I'm making this up because that's what I do. You want to look this up? No. Want to check out ChatGPT? No. ChatGPT AI is don't ever do Google again. It's the most incredible thing in the world. I had a great chat yesterday with Greg Kelly. We were yammering, confabulating, conviviating. We were exchanging ideas, and he's far more of a positive person than I am. He said, "Do you believe?" No, I don't know how to say it. Do you believe that people know what's going on? That the audience is awareness? Absolutely not. The audience is not only clueless, but incurious. Not you, mind you, but I mean others. You know what I mean? I'm not going to mention any names. But there's nothing worse than incurious. Remember when you're a kid, or your kid comes to you and says, "Why? Eat that. Why? Go to bed. Why? Why?" And we say, why? Because I told you why. That's why. Now shut up. This is a great. And what do? We stifle that. It's the best question. Why? Why is that? Why? I don't know. So here's a question. Let me take you through this. Because I love history and current affairs. I sound like some, did you have, when you were in high school, did you have the PE coach teach you world history? Did you ever have this? Did somebody, maybe you, but it was always the coach who taught history, at least where I was. I don't know why. I don't know how the two were juxtaposed, but nonetheless. But here's the question. The question is simply this. Who can fire the Fed? Now, I just got to tell you this. The Federal Reserve Chair, currently held by Jerome Powell, is appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate for a 4-year term. Okay? You got that? That's rule number one. Wait a minute. It gets sticky. Remember, I'm a lawyer. And I'll always... Oh, before I forget. Here is the answer to every legal question under the sun. It depends. Yeah, I bought a... Can I sue? It depends. Okay, thanks. It really is. It depends. So, it's appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate for a 4-year term. Okay. There is no statutory mechanism for getting rid of this guy, for removing the chair. None. Simply because President Trump doesn't like his policies, thinks he's stupid. The role supposedly is to be independent. And it's not even in the Constitution. We don't even know, nobody even knows what it is. Remember, it says federal as Federal Express. Jekyll Island, 1913. Remember where this came from. Same year as income tax. Now, there's a gray area here. The Fed chair is a member of the Board of Governors, which is a position with a 14-year term. How about that? Now, According to, and I know you statutory wonks out there, 12 USC 242, a board member, and thus the chair, can only be removed, here we go, drum roll please, for cause. What is cause? Beats the hell out of me. No clue. For cause is vague. It's interpreted generally to mean, serious misconduct, incapacity, but not because the president disagrees with him over interest rates or inflation policy or whatever it is. None. So technically, President Trump could try to fire Powell for cause, but it would almost certainly end up in court, and there would be a constitutional crisis and a violation of the Fed independence because you've got to show for cause. But here's the reality. 3 things could happen. Number 1, the president could refuse to reappoint him at the end of the term, which is okay. He can exert direct influence if he wanted to by basically going on X or Twitter and just annoying the hell out of him, mocking him, or he can try unilaterally firing him just because he, didn't like the race, but that's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So the bottom line is the Fed chair is one of the few. Listen to this.
Another dumbass.
The Fed chair, again, statutorily created out of nowhere. In fact, read Woodrow Wilson's response.
Dumbass.
Read his quote. I know. You're thinking, Woodrow Wilson? No, trust me. Woodrow Wilson was one of the most fascinating people. In any event, because you talk about incapacitated. This man was leveled by a stroke for years, and his wife ran the show. But I digress. The Fed chair, Powell, is one of the few truly insulated officials in D.C. It was designed that way to protect monetary policy, but in a showdown with Trump, who knows? So there you have it. So remember, can the president get rid of him? It depends. Is he there permanently? It depends. I don't know. What is it? I don't know. People ask us all the time, well, what does it mean? I don't know. I'm going to say happy holidays, happy Easter, happy Passover. If you really want to get into a good one, and I don't want to do this, I'm never going to get into religion, but I was raised in I'm a retired Catholic. I went to a parochial school, Catholic school, high school, grade school, kindergarten. Loved the whole thing. Loved the nuns. But when it came time to Easter, and I'm going to say this to you, the way Catholics follow Easter and the way Protestants, night and day. What's the difference? It depends. Good luck with this one. Typical situation, friends of mine. Hey, Jerry, yeah, you're a Catholic. I sure am. Went to our old lady poker house, our lady of perpetual motion, okay. George Carlin. What exactly is the difference between a Catholic and a Protestant? Infallibility of the Pope, papacy, the virgin birth. No. And again, it's one of those things that we labor under. We kind of know the difference, but we don't. And here's what's interesting. And if there's one thing that I would say, this was his legacy. I want everybody to grab your phone, grab your Chat GPT. Grok's good, but for AI, Chat is great. And ask, what's the difference? Always ask questions. Talk to your phone constantly. What does this mean? What does that mean? How high is up? Whatever the question. AI is going to change everything. It is better than anything you've ever seen in your life. So there we have that. Now, the thing I want to talk about, more importantly, I had to give you that because it's the most important. I want to talk to you about this feller who shot those folks up in Tallahassee Friday. And this is a subject which is near and dear to my heart. It's the Second Amendment. Why does that matter to you? What does it mean? Why do we talk about it? And what made this lunatic do this? This is the question that we love to ask. Why did they do that? Why? Ask people. Well, you see, it's a decline of the American family. That's good. That's why? Sure. Ever since we stopped doing prayer in school, that's what happened. You do know the number of school shootings is virtually de minimis. It's not even exist. Yeah, that's true, but still, it's the games, these violent games. You know,
hello,
Japan
Jay
has even more
Farley.
violence.
Hey,
And
Jay
they don't do this.
Farley.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, it's, you see, it's the decline, and people will just say things. And the answer is, my question to you is, why? Why do we do it? What makes somebody do this? And I've got the answers. I have studied this. I have looked, and the issue today, what I'm going to discuss with you is an issue of correlation versus cause.
But Nightbot is neutered.
Kid, they said rock music and
Nightbot only posts messages now. That's it. I neuter him.
Ozzy Osbourne makes you crazy. Alice
So
Cooper
Nightbot is not going to mess with anybody now.
I'm talking you to
Nightbot is only a messenger. That's it. He's not banning nobody.
Dangerous. This is
so
dangerous.
You can spam whatever the hell you want.
You don't do this.
But with
there
a reason.
People in prison.
But Nightbot is just a messenger. He just posts messages now. That's it.
Never.
I took care of his ass.
Serial killing. If you really want to get into
fix his ass.
I don't know if this is right. If you're into this. But I have studied serial killing forever. And it's fascinating. Fascinating how that works. So, step one, we have a lot to talk about. Blue Origin, that's stupid. I've got so much to say about that. One of the funniest. And now they're saying, conspiracy theorists abound of people who don't believe it was legit. Gee, do you think? Do you think? We're going to talk about this fake space astronauts, as they're called. George Clooney with his lousy attempt. They're going to give him the Tony. They're going to pay him back for all this stuff. Barack Obama, Michelle, are they splitting up? Who cares? We're going to talk about the Democratic Party. Tish James, who may have met her match this time. They are doubling down on the Democrats. Also, Carmelo Anthony, and who supposedly never took a money from any of the GoFundMe stuff, but he bought a $90,000 car or whatever it was.
Fucking whatever the fuck she is.
Also, Luigi Mangione, why he'll probably never get the death penalty. And this guy, Senator Van Hollen, and Kilmar. You think Kilmar is a bad pun? I'm telling you, I'm going to take you all the way to the You are going to learn so much. You are going to be so absolutely imbued. You're going to be engorged with knowledge and perspective, the likes of which you never thought even possible. This is Lionel with you. Our number is 800. What the hell is it? 800. It was something. 800 948 WABC. Is that it? That's right. That's it. 800. Figure out the WABC. I think it's 9222. I'll be here until 6 o'clock. We're having the time of our life. Remember, this is Lionel with you. Remember, Lionel with you on 77 WABC.
D'Agostino, law, bite back. I'm injury attorney John Ryan D'Agostino, nicknamed The Closer, continuing D'Agostino and Associates' legacy of helping the injured for over 35 years. My father, John D'Agostino, built this injury firm to help accident victims.
This is John D'Agostino, and this is a family firm. For us, it's about doing what's right and making sure somebody pays for your pain. Call us first at 1-800-FIGHT-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222.
No, I've been up.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Protecting America with Rita Cosby.
Sarah Carter, the great award-winning investigative columnist. What does the prison physically look like, and what's like a typical day? They really make them pay for their crimes in terms of tough times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let me give you an example. So on the way to the prison, you're driving quite far out of San Salvador. You go out of the main city into the countryside. The prison is kept in solitude, away from, as far away as possible from civilians. There is
No, we're gonna do that another time. But the weather's been sucking, and tomorrow's gonna be beautiful. But my wife goes back to work tomorrow, and no, we're just gonna wait till next month or so. No, we'll go later on. No, next month. Because we have to go during the week, because the weekend is crazy. So we have to pick a time that when she's off, the weather's nice, and the middle of the week. Because you don't want to go there on the weekend.
Start partying with all my friends. Felt so good, I
I'm going to do it again.
I'm ready, Lionel, with you. Hey,
RG08. We have storms and hail today.
That song,
Okay,
I've heard other people do it, and it gets boring. When I hear a classic blues, I think it's Mr. Dixon doing it, I believe. When I hear classic bluesmen do it, it's a different story. All right. Here's my question. When I heard Friday there was a shooting in Tallahassee, state capital of Florida, FSU, and I thought to myself, okay, here's what they're going to do. Number one, why is it? If the individual is a white guy, if he's a Trump supporter, if he's Republican or MAGA, we're going to hear immediately about it. Immediately. We're going to hear all about his social media, Facebook. We got the neighbor who says a loner kept to himself. That usual thing. Same MO. It's always a loner who kept to himself. Kind of quiet, acting kind of weird. Okay, fine. We're going to know everything about it. If, and this is the rule, if the shooter is non-binary, transgender, LGBTQIA, MOUSE, RAGG, MOPP, RAGMA, whatever the particular iteration of their gender, we're not going to find out. We're not going to find out anything. We're not going to find out anything. Anything this person who ever uttered in his life that might be construed as either white supremacist or racist, you're going to find all about it immediately. But anybody else, it's a mystery. Move on. That's number one. Number two, why do people do this? Why do people do this? First question is, how many people do it? Next to nothing. There are other countries, out of 340 million Americans, how many times has this happened? Never. And the statistics are incredible. There's more school shootings. No, there's no. Well, kids are more likely to be shot, but no, because suicide is always that factor that's kind of thrown in there. Also, gang violence thrown in there. The idea of a regular, normal kid taking a gun and going to a school and shooting up the people, it never happened. When it happens, but it's every single day. There's about 40,000 schools in the country. Every single day they come in, they come out. There's no shootings, no nothing. We have more guns per capita, per person in this country than any place else. You would think we're awash in weapons, and I guess we are. It doesn't happen. But they're going to be telling you. And why is that? What does the left have to do? And I'm going to be using these terms.
Cheers.
Right? I'm going to be using this kind of as a kind of a shorthand. Because I don't know if it's the left, because there used to be folks in the left who used to hunt and like guns and part of the Second Amendment. The reason, bottom line, is simply this, is that the left today, progressives, are a group of people who are nothing. They are motivated and propelled by nothing but slogans. Slogans, bumper sticker, not the usual stuff. Give them any. Look at their love for Kilmar, the MS-13. They're in love with him. Why? They have no idea. They're like a cat with a laser light or a pen. They just follow it. You can tell them anything. All of a sudden they say, you're going to be interested in transgender bathroom. Okay. And they will. They just, whatever you say. They are nothing. They are vapid, insipid, empty, vacuous. They're nothing. They don't have any core worldview or view. They sort of pay lip service to, I guess, abortion or climate change or something. But that's illegal. About it. So they are told. And, our commitment is to
stupid. It really is stupid.
That's number one.
It really is beyond stupid, but that's what they do.
I'm going to say this because you know it's
true. They fucking double down on the stupidity.
The thing that prevents our great country, number one, from being
he's a father.
Overrun one day by a rogue regime.
He's a father of whatever.
I'll never forget during the time of the Hosni Mubarak in Egypt.
And they make it sound like he's a soccer dad.
During one of the revolutions, the pink
living in a nice area in Maryland. And
somebody said, hey, let's go.
No, motherfucker's a gangbanger. What the fuck, bro? Are you kidding me?
Go door to door. And the Mubarak's men said, everybody has an AK-47 has a Kalashnikov at home. The hell we're going door to door. Sorry.
So much attention to this motherfucking guy. So much to just fucking go over there and pop him in the head. That's it. End that story right now.
The people that I worry
about. Are you fucking kidding me?
but my quote, fellow citizens, ready to lose it completely.
You know? Come on,
They're
bro.
like a walking potential yeast
Fucking
infection.
stupid. Fucking
They need
stupid
to
and shit.
specific about this, but you know that sometimes during antibiotic regimens, sometimes the lactobacillus imbalance, and
Are you worried about rivals? You know what? Some rivals should go in and boom, 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 pop them in the fucking head. That's it. End of story.
All of a sudden, this other stuff,
Holy
which
shit,
was
bro.
repressed and suppressed.
This guy got so much fucking attention. What are you kidding me?
Uncontrollably.
Are you kidding me?
Was maintained by a system of, dare I say, pH law and order. There was a balance.
Sorry, I went on a tirade
but
there.
They were there.
But goddamn,
And
I'm fucking sick of this fucking guy.
Monitor them was gone.
I want to go down there and pop him myself.
Flourish. And that's what happens. That's why you got to be very careful.
I want to go down there and fucking, pull.
That's where
take care of that
we
shit.
Look around. Here I am.
God damn it.
Beautiful. Streets are quiet.
Fuck, man.
NYPD, Commissioner Tish doing a great job. Everything's fine. People are,
There you go.
Looks pretty safe.
That's really gold for you, baby.
Prior to Trump, some of the people walking around the street, I don't know where they came from. Central casting from some kind of
radio gold, baby.
People walking around with severed heads and signs, screaming Lafayette, I've arrived. I mean, we saw
radio gold, baby.
Of insanity I never thought possible. Well, they're gone now. But all it needs, and all we need, is for somebody to sound the clock.
I'm telling you, James.
Ring the bell. Hit
Jesus
the little dog
Christ.
whistle and let everybody know there is no one in charge. And you will see a proliferation of crime and human vermin and the most rapacious, homicidal, violent people.
Thank you, Naiba. Thank you, Naiba. Please share and smash like fire.
Will be propelled. Each of them will be propelled and activated by other people using crowd theory, ochlocracies, mob rule. If you ever read Gustave Le Bon, the crowd mentality, mobocracy, they are ready to go. The reasons why I want weapons, the reasons why I believe in the Second Amendment, is not necessarily because of a rogue government, but because of rogue citizens ready to go. There are people right now who don't exist. Now, guns since the beginning of time. How many of you wonderful people in this tri-state area, when you were a kid, during those halcyon days of the 50s?
Nightbot, baby.
And I heard this one time, I couldn't believe it. Somebody told me that they actually were in a shooting club in high school, and they would bring a rifle onto a subway. Now, I thought, are you sure? They swore to me. Yeah, a rifle. It was a .22, and some going deer hunting or whatever the hunting is. And there was a time when nobody thought about taking this weapon to harm anybody. In Israel, where I have been, by the way, twice, and if ever you are a Christian or Catholic and you want to imbue yourself in history that will blow your mind, go to the Christian section of Old Jerusalem into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and this is the concomitant site of where Jesus was crucified and where he was buried, and the site of the rock in the tomb. And I'm telling you, I don't care what your particular faith is. The vibrations, either of other people or the sanctity of the event, it's wild. But in Israel, there are young people. There's IDF performance or participation is mandatory. And there are young people who always have to carry their weapon. Young girls on dates, people on dates walking around with a military issue. High capacity, high velocity.
Okay. Yeah.
Military.
Oh my God, he's talking about something here. Oh my God, I remember years ago, I had a friend on Facebook. No, Nightbot is okay. Because Nightbot is just sending messages now. Every banning power, I took it away from him. So no more, Nightbot's not banning nobody. I turned them all off. So all Nightbot is doing is posting messages for me. That's it. Please like and share. Check out my social media. What's the other one? Yeah, it's just messages. That's it. So Nightbot, he's neutered. Don't worry about Nightbot. Nightbot is cool. He just, I don't have to type it in. He does it for me. So you know what? Nightbot is cool. All right, let me put it back up because I'm rambling.
Why do they do that? The answer
Nightbot.
Perhaps might surprise you. This is Lionel with you, and we are here having, I think, the time of our life. Our number is 847. Do I? Is that eight?
No, because I had to. Oh shit! Sorry, I had to neuter him because he banned a couple of people. No, he banned a couple of people for spamming all caps. So I had, when you go to Nightbot in the account, you had to turn that off by all caps. So I turned off everything on Nightbot. I only want Nightbot to post messages. That's it. He's not the admin. Because you know what? You guys have the wrench. You guys are the admin. So if anybody acts up, you guys are going to take care of that. Or me. Not even Nightbot's going to take care of that now. So I finally, figured it out. And I shut Nightbot off and everything else. He only sent messages. That's it.
I'm going with Texas Warlord. Look at Texas! And some of his broadcast mates left messages of tribute online, such as former Ohio State quarterback Kirk Herbstreit.
Coach, this is Kirk. Just wanted to say I love you. I thank you for so many lessons you taught me.
And longtime co-host Chris Fowler.
It's a bittersweet day, but I can't stop smiling.
In a statement released by ESPN, Corso said he and his family are forever indebted for the chance to be a part of the network and its long-running show. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
Overnight with Lionel. WABC.
You made me cry when you said goodbye.
Unbelievable. The way he would play to the side, never look at the piano. Happy. The great Fats Domino. A lot of Fats. Fats Waller, Fats Domino, Minnesota Fats. Fats, it's got to be tough. Do you pick that yourself? Do you say, I'm going to be called fat? Nah. Skinny, there's no skinnies. Well, skinny, no, skinny. Oh, no, Trombone Skinny, I think, is one. There's a great, is it Trombone Skinny? There was an unbelievable New Orleans Trombone Shorty. We got Shorty. We had the Blind Lemon Pledge, Blind, and here we have Blind Shorty Fats. Combine them, the best of both worlds. Short, fat, in any event, my friends. Our number is 800-848-WABC. We, in America, are nuts. We have a few people, just a few, who go out and shoot people up for no reason. And I'm going to tell you, we'll go to your calls next, because the lines are going crazy. Here's how to solve it. And this involves the participation of everybody in the media. It will never be done, but assume arguendo, for the sake of argument, versus innuendo, which is an Italian suppository. But assume arguendo. That I make a rule that says as follows. The next time there's a shooting, the next time, everybody agree. Let's do an experiment. Not to mention the name, the picture, the social media background, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Mention there was a shooting, talk about the victims, talk about the, whatever. But imagine, we don't know who it was, we don't know what they look like, we don't know anything about their, background, nothing. Because these sick people, these vermin, this pond scum, they live trying to be something because they live in a world where they are a nullity. They don't exist. So consequently, they know that once they do this, they will be in the pantheon of school or shooters. They'll be with the Columbine folks. They'll be. But if we say, oh, no, you have a little NPC picture, a little figure. We don't know your name. We don't know your sex, whether you're transgender, cross-gender, pangender, crypto-gendered, it doesn't matter. You are anonymous. The second or third times that happens, people would say, you know what? It may not be worth it, because what we are doing is we are posthumously. We are guaranteeing them some type of status after the fact.
Anyway, Lionel is from 2 to 5 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Well, morning. And so tomorrow he'll be on 2. So I just want to point that out so people can see it. WCRadio.com. You can listen to him there. And also WABC app. Sorry about that. You can download the app. So there you go.
What part of Alabama are you from, roughly?
So there you go.
I'm from Alabama. I'm actually in New Jersey right now, but before 25 years ago, I lived in Dublin.
Oh, God.
I'm from Dublin originally.
Do you ever find yourself annoyed by people who say, "Hi, you're from Dublin"? You know, or they'll do that stupid American accent like that. Lucky Charms. Ooh, hello.
The worst one.
How about a potato?
Lucky Charms.
Yeah, Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms don't exist in Ireland, by the way. That's a Hollywood thing.
Remember this? Irish Spring. Manly, yes, but I like it too.
Trust me, I'd give you a smack in the mouth if you said that to me.
You know what,
First of all, it's
years ago,
disrespectful.
Years ago when I first came to New York, years ago, I had a dear friend of mine from Galway. And I'm not going to mention his name, but anybody who is in the bar or Irish pub business would know his voice immediately. And the first time I ever met him, it was right around the time of Waco. And he turned to me and he said, "I tell you what, this man there, you say your man. You come there with the I'll tell you what the FBI do." And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Your man Hitler. My man Hitler. Your man, your one. I called you one and your man. Soft as a brush. And I said, I don't know what he's saying.
No, I'll tell you what it is, right? I'm from like County Wicklow, but most of the time I spent my time in Dublin, so my accent sounds more Dublin than Wicklow. I moved to Cork, and Cork people sing, "All right, boy, what's the story?" So it's kind of like it rhymes, right? And you have to listen very carefully. Like when I first went down, I was saying, "God, I can't understand what they're saying," because they speak a little bit faster, and they sing, it all kind of goes in one go, right? And then the next thing what you do then is you say, you have to concentrate and just listen. And then people in Ireland don't listen. Hearing and listening is two different things, and that's what people get confused. And the accent is like, I'm speaking very slow. If I was to start speeding up, you'd be like, "What is he saying?"
But Anthony, I appreciate that, and I love that. That's Irish. Boy, did you see Tony move there? This guy's like a panther. He's like wow. You have to understand something. These are wonderful people, but what we consider an F-bomb is or M to some. Not all. God bless these grateful. Joe, you're on you're on 77 WABC, Joe.
Oh, God. You're the best. I remember I was on my way home from work one day.
This is a long story?
It was a long time ago. And there's a crazy guy on the radio talking about penile implants.
Yeah?
And I was like, I can't believe this is on the air.
And who was that person? Don't hold us in suspense. And who was that person?
Well, that was you.
There you go. Thank you.
But then, anyway, one of the other callers called in with a legal question, and you launched into your lawyer thing. And I was like, oh, my God, this guy is just like J. Gordon Liddy. He can't lose an argument.
Well,
I was unbelievable. I listened to you. You were so right about everything. I remember you were begging everybody, The MAD movement was going on, and they mean well and everything, but you were like, you're losing your freedom.
Well, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Joe, and I thank you for that. They did a wonderful job, but they were the worst because as a prosecutor, they would sit there demanding, the electric chair for everybody. It's like, no, we can't do this. Years ago, I did a fake commercial. It was right around the time of ED and everything it was called, and I made it up. It was ridiculous. Called Permi-Stiff. I made out of rhinoceros cartilage, and it was an implant, and I made the whole thing up. It was, and I would have some of the best in the old days. The production genius was the great Johnny Donovan, and Johnny Donovan, I would walk by his studio and say, I have an idea. And I would say something, and he would say, And then he would leave. And then later he'd walk by and he'd drop off a cart. I was trying to explain over the weekend, Tony, these young, great people that work on the weekend, these youngsters. I said, do you know what a cart machine is? A cart? They had no idea. Never saw a cart, never saw, reel-to-reel, with the tape and the blade and nothing. And anyway, and that's good. Rolodex, Yellow Pages, burning a CD, no idea, not a clue. Carbon paper. Recently, somebody said, hey, will you CC me? I said, yeah. By the way, you know where that CC comes from? A carbon copy, huh? Carbon copy, huh? Carbon paper, huh? Carbon paper, what? I realized, my God, I'm a fossil. That's where it came from. Uh-huh, yeah. 8-track? Who was it? Here we go. Be Kind, Rewind. Okay? Huh? There was a store. What? A Rolodex. What? we speak in these terms. In any event. But Johnny Donovan was so terrific. So one day, after I was on Ed Koch, and Ed Koch would say, stop. It was just the most annoying. So I went to Johnny Donovan and I said, the other day I happened to be in the garage and I got too close to a car. Remember the old, you don't hear car alarms at 3 o'clock in the morning. Turn that down. They're just gone now. Remember for about a week or so you had these, get back from the car. It was a voice. Get back.
Oh my God, I remember that too. Get out, you! The worst alarms ever. Oh my God, I remember that.
Wouldn't it be funny if Ed Koch, if we had an Ed Koch car, where he said,
oh my God, the worst cheap ass alarms.
Annoying Ed Koch, because let's face it, the Ed Koch. And he said, never said anything. Hour later, he comes by, drops it on my desk, it says a cart. And it's beautiful. Now, in time for... And Johnny Donovan used to always say, whether you walk to work or take your lunch, this is the greatest thing of a great stocking stuffer and fine for data grad, the Ed Koch car alarm. And he always would say, whether you walk to work or take your lunch, which made no sense. But we would do these fake ads constantly. Oh, I did one, Fiberia. It was made from the wood pulp of the Oregon forest to get really a double great, because this is when fiber was big, because they don't really tell you what the fiber is for. I think we know what it's for, but they don't want to tell you. They just say, for good gut health. So I made up this stuff about how these lumberjacks from the Oregon forest called Fiberia, and we did it. And sometimes they were so good that nobody knew what was real. Quick story, too. I had a commercial once. They would come to me, and I loved doing ads. And there was one for this thing called Collage. It was a CD. It was a group of CDs for relaxation. And you got a face mask, which I use face masks, I look like Arlene Francis. Are you in show business? Anyway, it was Collage. He said, well, what is this? I said, well, it's a bunch of CDs where you could play and listen to music and it'll relax you. Sold at Barnes & Noble or whatever. I said, can I do whatever you want? I said, can I do it? Yes. So we started playing the music, and I said, you've come home from work. And you hear this kind of harp music in the background. You're ready to climb a bell tower, to take on half of the block. You hate your family, your wife, and your kids. And before you go for the spike, before you get your kid to do a line of, you say, wait, instead I'll put on collage. And we play the music. Nobody knew what collage was.
Future. So it might.
Come on down.
For Broadway or sedative, this is the work that we.
Yeah. I love Cuba. Someday I want to visit Cuba, but they are my brothers and sisters.
From New York's only Harvard train.
Provides free health and wellness programs for drivers to help prevent some common medical conditions seen in the industry. These programs include diabetes prevention, tobacco cessation program, healthy habits preventing health, as well as the total health and wellness program, a vaccine booster program that includes free shingles, flu vaccines, and PPS, preventative screening, which includes free home cancer screening. These programs are available to Class A over-the-road truck drivers. For more information or to support programs, go to the State for Truckers to the Sun website, truckers.org. This program is possible by company recipes, on dock, road coach, and truck brand. Again, you can go to truckersfund.org for more.
Oh, nice. Yeah, MFJ 18. No, that loop is very good. MFJ is that is my best loop. Yeah, that is my if you want to call it the equivalent of the Wellbrook. Although I wish I had a Wellbrook, but with the VAT tax, that's their tariff. It was going to be over $500, and I'm not going to pay up $400+ for a loop. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So I bought the MFJ 1886 loop, and it cost me $300. And it's a pretty good loop. It is pretty good. It is pretty good. If you put the MHJ 1886 loop in Europe, it'll pick up long wave. but nobody ever bought one and have it in Europe. So it's basically the equivalent of that, if you think about it. So, you know, and of course, you know, I wish I had an a Wellbrook, but you know, it never happened. And of course, they went out of business. And of course, he passed away. The developer of the Wellbrook, Andy. So that's the end of that. So to me, you know, and I'm gonna say it. I think the ML30 is still a great loop. It's a great loop. You know. You know, you got these people out there spending $1,000 on the Chameleon loop antenna and all this shit. Me, I don't recommend it. It's overkill at this point. I think the ML30 is that's all you need to buy right now. And you know what? You know, if you could rotate it, it's better. But if not, just buy a couple of them and have one pointing, you know, north to south or south to north, whatever. And just have another one pointing east to west, and that's it. Have two of them. And you can switch them, and that's it. To me, that's the best setup. That's it. You don't need nothing else. And I don't care about rotators and all this shit. I don't really care. To me, that's it. And then you know what? You're gonna pick up a lot of signals. But that's it. You're gonna be happy with it. Oh, my son is playing upstairs with my hand.
As big as it is, the board is massive. There has to be more.
So I don't know if this is CFCH out of what is it called? North Bay, Ontario. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Thanks for tuning in to the Radio Surgery Hour with Dr. Gillian.
Yeah, but this radio is not. My FDR is much better shielding than this. So, you know, in fairness to it, it is what it is. But my SDR, much better shielding.
4, 2, 3.
So, yeah, much better. Yeah, I know. It sucks that you're, in my case, my smartphone. My smartphone. Let me point it to me. Here you go, this guy. My smartphone or your iPad, whatever, is always going to put out a little more interference. That's a given. That's why when you hear the signals, it's actually better without the cameras. But when we're trying to record it, this is what you're gonna get. But if I had this camera away, this signal will be booming. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta take all these recordings with a grain of salt. If I put it over here, you can hear it.
The Trump administration is trying to roll back considerations of what constitutes human rights abuse. NPR investigative journalist Grant Smith is saying the plan. Generated by the Biden administration. And it means absolutely everything that it recently called for in those reports. And in all kinds of things, freedom of privacy, freedom of expression for regular people, child sexual exploitation. It's not in that law. It's not going to be enforced. Three people have died in a small airplane
is one of the things. And the judge
originally said illegal immigrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported, but now claims that he's an MS-13 gang member and physically abused his wife.
Allegations that he punched and scratched her on the eye, left her bleeding after throwing her laptop on the floor at her, ripped her.
Well, this is not from the corner, it's from this side. Nightstand right here. The corner, no, this is not it.
The Trump administration will reportedly start screening the social media accounts of all visa applicants who have traveled to the Gaza Strip. Tammy Trujillo has more. A report from Reuters says a directive was issued Thursday by Secretary of State Marco Rubio that calls for all immigrant and non-immigrant visa applicants who have been to Gaza since 2007 to have their social media vetted. The directive includes diplomats and charity workers. The State Department will reportedly be looking for derogatory information tied to national security concerns. The Trump administration has not commented on the report. I'm Tammy Trujillo. Reaction from riders continues to pour in over the federal takeover of the $7 billion overhaul of New York City's Penn Station.
Too much involvement in the government. You model one thing one way, and then 5 years later, they got a whole nother project going on, tearing down all of that. To me, it should be better planning ahead.
Governor Hochul says she's thrilled about the takeover. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says they're putting Amtrak in charge. The plan involves moving Madison Square Garden in order to create a soaring new train hall and public park. The push to get panic buttons installed in all New York City bodegas and who should pay for them is resuming after 2 deadly incidents this week, one in Manhattan and the other in the Bronx. So far, only 50 bodegas have had panic buttons installed.
This isn't a luxury. This is a life-saving tool.
Fernando Mateo, who heads the United Bodega Workers of America, says a panic button installed behind the counter that connects directly with police would save lives. Ambulance response times are taking an average of 12.35 minutes when there's a life-threatening emergency. That's up from 12.27 minutes in 2024. The Adams administration is blaming higher 911 call volume and heavier traffic in the outer boroughs. But some EMTs say illegally parked cars, new street redesigns, more bike lanes, and drivers' failure to yield to ambulances are major factors. So what's in your Easter basket? Bree Tennis tells us.
Business Insider says we'll drop over $3 billion on Easter candy this year. They say the breakdown is 16 million jelly beans, 1.5 billion Peeps, and 91 million chocolate bunnies. The National Confectioners Association says 78% of us eat the bunnies' ears first. 17% start at the feet, and 5% start at the tail. Psychology Today says there's nothing psychologically wrong with you if you start tail first. I'm Bree Tennis.
And almost 30,000 real eggs will be used at the annual White House Easter egg roll on Monday. YouTube, Meta, and Amazon are sponsors. It's the event's 148th year. In sports, Aaron Rodgers still has a decision to make. The veteran free agent said that he was shocked after being cut for the first time in his career. He mentioned that he would play for $10 million this season and has had conversations with the Vikings, Giants, and Steelers. Rodgers has yet to rule out retirement as an option. Playoffs this weekend. Saturday, the Knicks play the Detroit Pistons, and Sunday, the Devils skate against the North Carolina Hurricanes in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the NASCAR Cup Series is off for the Easter weekend. Your forecast overnight, increasing cloudiness, mild temps with a low of 56 degrees. Later on today, cloudy skies, a bit breezy, the chance of a late day shower. Warm, though, with the high near 80 degrees. The outlook for Sunday to wrap up your weekend, mostly cloudy skies, more seasonable with a high around 68. We have increasing cloudiness outside of our Midtown studios right now. I'm Lisa Ritchie. Remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, you know.
Now, Lionel is on your radio.
Alrighty, Lionel with you on 77 WABC. In case you didn't hear, breaking news, a term which is used all too often, or much too often. The Supreme Court's recent temporary halt on the deportation of Venezuelan nationals under the Alien Enemies Act is more of a procedural pause than a substantive defeat for the Trump administration. That's right. Everybody is saying right now the Supreme Court temporarily halts deportations of Venezuelan migrants Don't worry about it. It's temporary. The court's order emphasizes this need for due process. That's all. They're ensuring that individuals have the opportunity to contest their deportation. Why, you might ask? I don't know. Rather than challenging the administration's authority to enforce immigration laws. So take it easy. Take it easy. By the way, remember when Fernando Mateo in the early 90s did Toys for Guns? And he started off and he said, he was kind of shy, and he said, well, if you bring in a gun, we'll give you toys or sneakers or something. People were bringing in flintlocks, museum pieces, stuff that rusty things. Well, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but a deal's a deal. Anyway, as he became more proficient in speaking, as he became more adept at dealing with his particular cause, all of a sudden this kind of meek choir began, if one life is saved, it's all automatically. Now he is far more formidable, doing a fine job to be sure. But I never forget that. There he was with these people showing up with guns. I think they, like zip guns, does that apply? Well, I'm not really sure. So, my friends, do not fear. The Supreme Court has just dealt with a kind of a temporary thing. Most of these cases will resolve because it is absolutely, positively, 100% within the total plenary jurisdiction of Article 2 and the President of the United States to be in charge as Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive Officer to deport, remove, expurgate, bodilerize, not amend, and ablate and excise from our populations criminal vermin, not people from other countries, not out of some spirit of xenophobia. No. You know better than that. They know better than that. It's a different story. Let's go back to the funds. I still want to talk more about gun control. Also, this mindless Blue Origin. This was the greatest thing. Did you see this? Everybody came out of the woodwork saying, fake! It's fake! It's fake! Bezos, he opens the door in, then out. They showed what appeared to be a mannequin. You had Lauren Sanchez and Gayle King and Katy Perry kissing the ground. Look, the moon! The actual, this kind of plywood, cardboard, I don't know what this thing was, unscathed, untouched by, quote, re-entry. I mean, it was so bad. And everywhere, people, brand new, newly minted, quote, conspiracies came out of nowhere saying, this is the most ridiculous thing. It is so monumentally, obviously fake. It was beautiful. Because remember what a conspiracy is. A conspiracy does not mean crazy. Conspiracy merely means an organization, an agreement, a confederation between two or more people to bring about something which is illegal. That's all it is. If I act by myself, I'm a lone wolf. If Tony and I or Bill and I decide to work together to do something, this is a conspiracy. Conspiracy, conspire, from the Latin conspirare, to breathe together. It's all it means. But now, because of this Blue Origin, people who didn't care about RFK or JFK or 9/11 or aliens or whatever, all of a sudden they said, whoa, this is phony. This is fake. And every time I can get you to question authority, we win. Also, we're going to talk about this poor Carmelo Anthony, who says, no. By the way, I feel sorry for Carmelo Anthony, the basketball, because I keep putting a K in there. I say, no, not me. Not me. This Carmelo, who of course now is, again, you've got Kilmore, now you've got Carmelo the K, He is also the latest love child of the radical left. And meanwhile, Austin Metcalf, not even mentioned. Don't forget Luigi Mangione. This is another one. They love this guy. Why? I have no idea. None. Brian Thompson. Let me just say something from it. Listen. Since time immemorial, you know it and I know it. Every now and then, sometimes people will say, it's odd. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Bonnie and Clyde. There's Dillinger to an extent. But they were more, they weren't cold-blooded killers. Then it varied when Night Stalker, Ted Bundy, it goes on and on. The Menendez brothers. Now, these people, they had their own fan base. And it got even more weird. Sometimes in the world of organized crime, John Gotti, an absolute celeb, cause celeb. People said, for whatever reason, he was box office. Okay, I understand it. But this? Kilmar Garcia? Wait. What? Luigi Mangione? Oh, by the way, I got to mention this one in a moment. See, Mangione, what they're going to do is, I don't know if he's even remotely going to be even anywhere near the death penalty. I don't know. It doesn't sting enough for that. But what they have to do, whenever they do this, whoever the prosecutors are, make sure you use the word.
Hello, I'm a time.
As many
hello,
times
I'm a time.
During the course of the
Hope you're doing well, my
drive
friend.
him crazy because he fancies himself as a genius. Well. There he is, Mr. Ivy League, huh? Mr. Criminal, Mr. Brilliant. Puts all of his thoughts down in a notebook. You're a schmuck. What are you doing? Oh, no. The genius has to write it. And the genius, this idiot says, I'm going to make a ghost gun out of a printer. But I'm going to be shown on 10,000 video cameras. I'm going to end up
nice.
Finding him at a McDonald's and
I hope you like it, boy. It's a great stand.
You're at a McDonald's.
I love mine. That's what I'm using right now.
They've got cameras, and the cameras are in a cloud. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You weren't gone. They found you right away. They weren't even looking for you.
Right now.
You're at the hostel. You're here. You're an idiot. That will drive him crazy. See, so what they did to Wayne Williams. Remember Wayne Williams in Atlanta?
Look at that. You see that?
The black entrepreneur who...
Great stand.
Peter, he was the first one. He was taking
$17
black kids and strangling them and throwing them into the description
anyway, at the end of the live stream.
But John Douglas, the FBI profiler, told prosecutors, make sure you question his intelligence. He always thought he was smarter than the rest. So anyway, that's who the left loves. They love this guy, Luigi Mangione. Why? And irrespective, look, you can hate insurance companies. The man had a family. It didn't stop anything. It didn't do anything. And that story, there's more to it. I don't want to say inside job, but how did he know all these things and where Mr. Thompson was? So anyway, what you're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is a group of people so monumentally demented that I don't think it's even possible to put into words. Let's go to Joaquin, or Jojo, as he's called on the street. You're on 77 WABC.
Good day to you, Lionel.
Yes, sir.
Vladimir Zelensky actually has one to top Putin. Have you seen the video of him playing the piano?
Yes, I have. With a certain playing the organ, cum organ, yes. With his appendage, with his, yes.
And I carried a gun to school, a .22 rifle for the gun club. As a matter of fact, I rode the school bus with it, and would turn in at the office when I got to school. And then at the end of the day, we had our gun club. We had a shooting range downstairs in the basement of the school. And that's just the way it was.
So you would take, what year was this? 1840?
No, it was 1975.
Wow.
1975, 1974, 75, 76.
So you're bringing you brought a rifle onto a school bus?
Yes.
and never thought of opening fire on your fellow classmates because you had a bad day?
No.
Now, work with me. Why did we not have a rise in frequency of school shootings then? Why? You didn't even have to conceal it, and it was an assault weapon, technically speaking, if you had more than one round in the capacity. Why? What was different then than now?
Well, you want to know something? You hit the nail on the head, because I've actually heard this said before. If you actually look at the statistics, it is even less common and frequent than it was in the past.
Yes.
And it's just the numbers that we have such a large, population now, and of course with the media and everything, they want to blow everything out of proportion, so obviously it's in your face all the time.
But here's the issue, Jojo. That's your name. The issue is that in other countries, people who would have honor killings or drug cartels or turf or crime or something that, I don't want to say this, kind of made sense. But today, somebody has a bad day. And can you tell me, why in the name of God don't we have a system at schools where we have, here's the following, now remember, FSU is a campus, it's a university, you can't do it. But for a school, one entrance, one way in, that's it. No doors open, no doors left open, no doors propped open, one entrance in, one entrance out. Number one. Number two, metal detectors. Easier, it's cheap, no big, I don't care. Sorry, kids, metal detectors get used to it. Number three, either a plainclothes or a volunteer or a retired or somebody, a person there in the front of the school, not the community resource officers, not the school resource officer, not officer friendly who helps, cut the cake at the birthday party. No, a person heavily armed in front, just sitting there, so that the next person who comes in says, I've got to deal with this person. There's no 5-minute, 10-minute lag time. He's right there. And I don't want to arm teachers. This is the simplest thing. And what have we done about that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's more security at a mall, if there are any more malls, than at a school. So it's time, I think, that we stop using this insanity and stupidity as a defense and get to the bottom of this. And also realize this, as I was telling my good friend Greg Kelly, people are crazy. The DSM-5, I'm seeing forms of crazy. People I know, it may not be criminally insane, but this level of insanity is giving birth to new forms of intellectual, or rather psychological in extremis. I've seen things. The question now is, who's not crazy? Who is not? And by the by, if you want to have some fun, one of my ways of relaxing is I go to YouTube and I'll put Karens getting arrested. People who are pulled over by the company. You can't stop me. Have you seen the sovereign citizens? I'm not traveling. No, I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I don't even know what that means. How do you know you stopped me? Get your hands off me. I don't have to tell you a damn thing. I'm not going to give you, and next thing you know, the window's broken, they're pulled out, and all they had was a little stupid thing that could have been fine. Not even a moving violation. Did you know you're not? I'm sorry, officer. License and registration. Yes, sir. As opposed to, get your hands off me. High-speed chases. Nobody has ever gotten away in a high-speed chase. Nobody has ever successfully, it doesn't work. Another thing too, Tony. Nobody has ever actually contracted a hitman online. It's always a cop. If you're talking to somebody who claims to be a hitman, it is a police officer. We are actively losing our mind. And, very importantly, very quickly, we live in a world right now, here's Lionel's paradox. We write more than you ever can imagine by virtue of our texting. But we don't say anything. We know we have the Library of Alexandria in our pocket. We have the ability now with ChatGPT. Any question you get, we know it. We don't know anything. We can't write. Have you gotten an email from somebody? Me and him decide, say, who is this? We can't write. We can't think. We can't research. We're incurious. Throw into that with a dash of stupid, crazy, and when stupid meets crazy, that's a head-on collision. I mean, we are just, and then you have this homozygotic inbreeding with more of these evil seeds and spawns being hatched by the day. We are devolving as a people. But I digress. Item of my friends, 800-848-9222. We'll get your thoughts and calls and comments. I'll be here till 6 o'clock. Make sure you pay attention because we're going to...
Wow, to 6 o'clock.
I haven't even got to start. Lionel with you in 77 WABC.
Wow, they extended his hours. Wow.
WABC. Latest from the 77 WABC newsroom.
Sid Rosenberg, host of Sid and Friends in the Morning here on 77 WABC, is king of New York in the ratings. He's a very loyal guy and is proud that he's Jewish and of the schools that he attended, including Kingsborough Community College.
Yeah, sorry, man. Anyway, abcradio.com and also WABC app. You can listen to this too. So, you know what? Yeah. WABC is putting a lot of good content out there. A lot of good content. A lot of common sense. A lot of common sense content. So WABCradio.com or the WABC app. You can download that and you can listen to all this all day. All right. So there you go, Elmer.
They haven't said.
Yeah.
They haven't elected to do this.
And Jeff's response?
I think the answer is this. Kingsborough in Brooklyn that has 22% Jews has no employees in the senior administration out of 18 people that are Jewish.
So if Kingsborough continues to turn up its nose at Sid, maybe it's time we celebrate him on our own with lots of pomp and circumstance. Hats off to you, Mr. Rosenberg. You've earned your radio PhD. Lisa G, 77 WABC News.
Overnight with Lionel.
Is this for the great Felipe Soul win? Could it be him for it? And who is it? Billy? Not Billy Taylor. Billy? Bobby? Close enough. What do you call that movement? What? Since I met you, I've begun to feel so. What was the song that said, this is our fork in the road? When I was a kid, I thought, what do you say? You say that you are so happy. See, you play this, I work myself into a frenzy, and then you play this, Tony, and it's like liquid Quaalude. I'm tripping.
By the way, James, excuse me, the owner is a Democrat. You know that, right? He's a Democrat. So, but he's a common sense guy. That's why we love him. Okay? So, he's a Greek guy. He owns a bunch of supermarkets in the New York City area. Gristedes, D'Agostino, Big Apple Media. Yeah. This guy, even though he's a Democrat, he gets it. Common sense guy. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I love the station.
You have so many great hosts on WABC.
Absolutely.
I absolutely live by your radio. You got me through surgery, kidney cancer, and everything.
Oh, my God.
No, really. 9/11, I was there. I was fine the whole time. Now, 22 years later, I had to have it totally removed because I burnt my foot.
Oh.
And it ended up never healing right.
Not this
I became a diabetic, 360 pounds, and I was in bad shape. Now I weigh in at 210.
and everything is preparing itself.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Pete, you made my day, my friend. You made my day.
You make my day every time I hear you.
Thank you, Brother Pete. Appreciate it. All the best to you, my friend. Happy holidays to you. Let's go to
let's go beer.
Carrie. That's right, Carrie.
Have a beer cold.
Brackets SIC sick. Carrie, you're on 77 WABC.
And a few beers.
Lionel, your epigones don't stand a chance. You stand alone, my hello. Listen, the more people you have, the more nuts you're going to have. But I know
that's obvious.
Exactly. That bird going down, baby.
The names and the murderers of Lake and Riley and Rachel. They don't mention their
Did I say that?
You know why? You know why?
Did I say that?
All of the ones who called
I said NPS going down. And PBS.
By the way, do listen.
The trendy shit. I told you.
I really do.
And I told you it's going to happen. I told you to happen.
Can I work with you?
It's going to happen.
You were so good. You were so
trendy
good.
Shit. Fuck you.
Can you wait a little longer? Can you maybe slide into a little bit? Can you maybe use a different name? Because I like you. You know why? You're a professional, you're a chronic, and I mean that. But I want to work on your stuff. And I like that. And by the way, people say, oh, you know, that's Steve.
The old shit. Not my text-based
money. You're a professional. But let's work on it together, okay, brother? You and me, polish the act, burnish the routine. All right, my friend. Thank you so much. One time years ago when Barry Gray was on.
Convert kids.
Remember Barry Gray? I called up and I thought, I wonder how long I can. I wonder how long I can go before I say anything. I said, I feel that the problem. Well, it's not really a problem. It's a quandary. It's a query.
And you're going down. I told you going down.
Clerical and quizzical.
Then I say that it's going down. I told you. I told you NPR's going down.
Let me talk. I think you
I told you it's going down.
Tom in the Bronx. You're on 77 WABC.
Lionel.
Tom.
I love listening to you.
God bless you. Thank you.
I want to get your perspective on this.
All right.
I read something just recently about the huge gang problem in Sweden.
I told you, bro.
Are you aware of it? They have unbelievable gangs.
All lefty, bro. It's all lefty. I told you, bro.
Involving hand grenades and dynamite. Every year has reached a proportion where it is out of control.
See, I thought this was a joke because Swedish gangs, it just...
James, I like PBS. I like some of the PBS. I like some of that PBS stuff. However, overall, is lefty. It is. You know? It is. You know? A couple of years ago, we're watching my baby boy and me, we're watching Sesame Street. And they're going to pull out the rainbow card on me and my son. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Are you kidding me? Back then, my son was like, I'm talking about like, when he was like 4. Like, come on, bro, don't do that shit. That's what pissed me off. Like, don't indoctrinate my kid into this transgender shit. Okay? I'm sorry. If it bothers people, oh well, fuck you. But yeah, it bothered me. It bothered me. There you go. It bothered me. And I said, you know what? He ain't gonna watch no more PBS. And you know what happened? He never watched it ever since. I was done with PBS. Because you're not going to groom my kid into this bullshit. It's not going to happen. There you go. It's not going to happen. And that's what happened. So you know what? I don't care if it gets defunded. I don't care no more. I'm done with that shit. I'm done with that shit. Okay? I'm done with that. You know? I'm done with that. Okay? You're not going to groom my son and brainwash him into some bullshit. I'm done with that. So you know what? I don't care if they defund that and NPR. I don't care no more. Now, if you want to go private and do that, you can. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody is stopping you from going private on that shit. But you know what? My taxpayers' money, I don't want to subsidize for that shit. Okay? No. I'm not going to subsidize for that. Fuck no. There you go. Okay? You know, I'm being honest. I don't care about that shit. I don't care. You know? I don't care. You know? Don't fuck with the kids. That's why we won this election by a lot, because we got fed up with this shit. You know? Come on, bro. I mean, seriously. You know? You know? Come on, bro. You know? And that's what happened. That's why he won this. And that's what that's what happened. Oh my God. With all this double down bullshit. You know, with the fucking, you know. You know what I'm saying? They're doubling down on this shit. And this fucking one guy, this one fucking guy. Oh my God, he got deported to El Salvador. Oh my God, he's a father. You know, like they tripling down on this shit. I'm glad they're doing that shit. You know what? Because it proves to everybody else that they don't give a fuck about this country. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. You know? Come on. You know? Oh my God. You know, like, you know, that's what I feel right now, bro. Like, I'm on fire right now, bro. You know? You know? Jesus Christ, these fucking people. You know? So they're all going to go fly down to El Salvador. And they're going to defend this fucking guy. Sorry, fucking. You know? Like they doubling down on this shit. You know? Oh my God. Fucking shit. Anyway, let me fucking get off my tirade.
I saw him. Have you seen him recently on the Mike Huckabee? I got Mike Huckabee on bass, and Peter Rivera, who I think is really into stuff. I think he's from Chicago. He's like 80. You look at him and you think, yeah, okay, they can rock. Loved it.
Oh my God.
All right, my friends, aligned with you. Tony's just throwing things at me. It's incredible, the connection. We are musical simpatico. We are on a brotherhood connection musically that is one for the ages. Now, let me go back to what we were saying before about this. And I've always hated, I shouldn't say this, but the classic talk radio. We should take these people and that goes without saying. But here is the bottom line. There is no fear of our system anymore. And I've been in it. For the longest time, I went through prison reform. And I can't believe I'm saying things. I can't believe I'm saying things now that I never thought I'd ever say. Lock them up forever. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Not everybody requires being locked up for... Yes! The death penalty, I'm really starting to come around with. I don't like the death penalty. Don't care for it. It's not a good idea. Why? Because you can't appeal an execution, and there are too many cases where people have been incorrectly charged with regular murders, much less this. But the bottom line is simply, something is very, very weird here. There is no respect for anything. And the first thing that we need to do is, and I'm sorry, we've got to get a little bit, dare I say, draconian. Draco had it right. We have to also let cops be cops. And we have to let them do what they want to do. We also have to realize that there comes a time when people like George Soros, who comes along and pays good money, and this is his right, I'm sorry, this is freedom of association and freedom or whatever, to have these, I don't know what it's called, they're not liberal prosecutors. I don't know what the word is. I don't understand it. I'm not really sure how this thing came about. But if I were in charge, I would make people very, very quickly fear law and order. Fear. That's it. It's a very simple thing. And I've seen this. I've seen it for the longest time. And there's something that is really sick right now, and I don't know why it is. But how people came along, this lionization, this Carmelo Anthony, I keep thinking of the basketball player. Did you see when the grieving father of Austin Metcalf showed up? And Mr. Metcalf was attending peacefully. He was repeatedly targeted for simply being present as the media. And folks, we're portraying him, I guess, Metcalf, as the assailant or the aggressor. I mean, I don't understand this. And somebody's got to also tell me, where does this money go? Look, if you raise money for people for, quote, defense or whatever, I don't know if the government necessarily should be in the middle of telling where that money should go, but how does anybody look at this? How does anybody look at this guy and say, you know what, I feel for him? And I don't know enough about the circumstances of the case, but there's something that is wrong. Luigi Mangione, I can't even begin to understand. I can't get that one at all. Now, let's go to the next one. The best story of them all. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me tell you about people who are stupid. As you know, in the world of criminal law, we have the insanity defense. And the insanity defense basically means, if you are found not guilty by reason of insanity, NGRI, that means that at the time you committed the offense, you were laboring under some, quote, mental illness to the extent and to the level or to the point where you could not appreciate right from wrong. That never happens. Because virtually everybody understands that what they're doing is against the law, is wrong. That's why they secrete themselves or run or show. Okay. But we need somebody who is stupid. We need somebody or a defense for people who are stupid. I got to tell you this story. True story, years ago. Parents came to me with their son, and I said, can I help you? They said, yes, we have, my son was charged with burglary. Okay. When's the next court date? Tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, huh? Arraignment? No. Sentencing. I said, wait a minute. Sentencing? Was he found guilty? No. He pled guilty. Well, why are you here? If it's, and the mother turns to the kid and says, tell him. The kid says, Mom, tell him. And the mother's looking at me, and the father leans over because he's fit to be tired. He goes, he's fit to be tired. He says, because my son is stupid. I said, whoa, wait a minute, wait. Apparently what happened was this kid was, they said, dyslexic and illiterate. I said, no, wait a minute. How can you tell you're illiterate if you're just... Anyway, I didn't worry about the semantics of it. He couldn't read. I mean, could not read. But he couldn't tell anybody. He was embarrassed. So when it came time to... He signed a plea form. He didn't know what it was. He thought it was I don't know. Who knows? And he pled guilty. So we're in court the next day. Or we're doing... Actually, I tried to get a deposition. And the detective comes and says, what are you doing here? To me, he said, what are you doing here? I said, I represent this guy. He said, why was he charged? I said, you tell me. He was the witness. He helped us. He pled guilty. The cop said, wait a minute, what? No, he was our witness. I said, he pled guilty. They charged him. Why did he plead guilty? I said, because he's stupid. Mom, the kid was upset. So I had to withdraw the plea. You ever try doing this? There's one thing the courts say. They say, once you plead guilty, that's it. Where you do not say, you know what? I've been thinking it over and I'm going to withdraw my plea. Why? I changed my mind. Nope. Because you go through these, not only an allocution, but you go through this plea colloquy. Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Yes. Did anybody offer you anything or get you the... No. Are you under the influence? No. Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Yes. Do you really mean it? Yes. Do you double mean it? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. You're guilty. Guilty as guilty can be. And you go through this for about 5 minutes. So later on when you say, I didn't know what I was doing, it doesn't make any sense. So there I am at the front of the judge, and I said, Your Honor, may we approach the bench, please? He said, sure. And I said, this may, and he said, you want the court reporter here? I said, no. Oh, no. Not for this. I said, Your Honor, I don't know how to say this, but we have a kind of a unique defense here. What is that? Well, it's the reason why he pled guilty. Well, I said, this may sound odd, and I know the prosecutor here is, I've kind of broached the subject, but he's stupid. He signed a plea agreement, didn't know what he was doing. I said, look at him. I swear I should go blind if I'm lying. I said, look at him. So we both kind of parted ways. The judge kind of lifted up himself, looked at me and says, I see what you mean. Now the kid's looking at us. Oh, I forgot to tell you, he had one of these nice Aaron Neville Oreo cookie moles on his face that just made you stare at him. I said, he does look at us. I said, he is. And I said, I mean, he's not crazy. He just... Anyway, to make a long story short, we were successful. We withdrew the plea, dropped the charges. But we need to have stupid. I know that was a long way to go. The short time to get there, we're eastbound, just watch old bandit run. Now, I want to tell you about somebody by the name of Letitia James. And a fellow by the name of Sam Antar. Do you know who Sam Antar is? Does that name ring a bell? Remember Crazy Eddie? Crazy Eddie. Well, Mr. Sam Antar apparently is most effective and most adept and most adroit at doing forensic accounting. And he came up with this incredible work that shows that Ms. James, our Attorney General, was, in essence, or could be, she's presumed to be innocent, of course, but that she might be violating mortgage laws, lending laws, in a variety of ways. Lying about whether she's married to her father. What is with these defendants? You got Elon Omar marries her brother. She might be married to her father. So they say, again, presumed innocent. That she might have claimed a 4-bedroom apartment building, whereas 5 she might have claimed in Virginia to secure financing, where she says this would be my primary place of residence, but she can't possibly have that when she's the Attorney General. All of this presumed, she's presumed innocent. She appeared on New York One Spectrum News, I think with Errol Morris, and I believe that I think 4 people saw this. This is the only time she ever appeared. She says she won't bow to anyone. So Mr. Antar, by the way, he is at Sam Antar, and X says, I know every trick in the book, every trick that's been left out of the book, and every trick you've been thinking about doing but haven't done yet. I spent 20 years committing financial fraud at crazy, and he goes on and on. So what we have here is the following. Could it be, I'm falling in love, as a great spinner said, could it be that Letitia James, who focused everything on our great president, who said, I'm going to prosecute him before there was evidence of any crime, like Lavrenti Beria, Stalin's main Torquemada, who said, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. This is a woman who came up with the most arcane, I still don't understand. Nobody understands with Judge Engoron and others. He was found guilty of overvaluing a what? And I think the Court of Appeals asked, has anybody ever been prosecuted for this? No. So anyway, so that's an appeal. But this is a woman who pursued this dogged pursuit. Nobody's above the law. And if President Trump, even though I can't explain what he did, even though nobody understands, even though nobody was the complainant, even though no bank, no financial, no lending institution, nobody went to her and said, you've got to do something about this. He ripped us off. Nobody. If whatever monies, whatever valuation the President and Mrs. Trump said regarding any kind of property they have, it's up to the bank to determine. Nobody cares what he says.
I bought a couple of stereos and TVs from The Wiz. And The Wiz was right after Crazy Eddie.
Well, now you're in the position.
So The Wiz was my electronic store.
If you did this, if you did this, knowing how everybody would naturally be looking at what you're doing by virtue of your explications and your public protestations against and then President Trump. If you did that, knowing they'd be looking at you, you're stupid. And the stupid offense may apply. So there we have Sam Antar, who basically says, I know exactly what you did. So what is she doing? She's claiming, of course, that the reason for this is because she's black, she's a woman, there's some type of civil rights version. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what the particular reason is. But it's something that is so delicious, so incredible. Could it be that she's that demented? And she's going to also be claiming targeted prosecution, the same thing.
All right, I'm going to log off now. I'm going to sign off now. I'm warming the spaghetti and meatballs upstairs. I'm going to eat my plate and go to bed. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I love you. Happy Easter. Have a great week. Bye-bye.